Welcome to the Legalpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Sager, and I'm dedicated to covering common legal issues for small business owners and just how some of the world's most elite entrepreneurs have handled legal issues themselves. In true attorney fashion, the information in this episode is not legal advice. This is for informational purposes only, and you should always consult with your attorney before implementing any of the information. Now, on to the show. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Legalpreneur Podcast. Today's episode is going to be a little different. It's actually not going to be about the legal stuff, but more about the business side of things. I feel like I am well equipped to discuss this topic because I run multiple successful businesses and I work with thousands of businesses every single year. So I know a thing or two about running a business, growing a business, and sustaining a business. So what I want to chat about today is who should be your first hire? Because we're all in the same boat. We all start in the same place. We're solopreneurs. We start on our own. But of course, the goal is to grow a team. Well, maybe not a big team, but people to support you. And I will tell you, hands down, the best decision I ever made was my first hire. And she is still with me today. Cassie, thank you so much for sticking with me through all the years. Cassie is hands down one of the most hardworking people I've ever met. She is absolutely amazing. And she started out as my legal assistant / paralegal. I basically told her, I was like, look, I need help. I don't know exactly what I'm going to need you to do, but I know that I need help. And she was like, all right, I'm here for it. Luckily, she has grown with me and she started out very part-time and then finally grew to a salary. And now she's one of the most valuable team members that I have. So I tell you that to say the best decision I ever made was starting to hire in my business, because when we start out, obviously, most of us don't have a ton of money. And we're on a shoestring budget trying to make this hustle work. I know for me, it was like, okay, I left this 6-figure job and my husband at the time, he wasn't working. And it's like, okay, I'm trying to support my family on this, like not even having an income. So from the beginning, I was a hustler and not having a budget at all and just trying to do all the things. But once I started to hire, it just freed up so much more capacity to do other things that were going to move the needle faster. And that's exactly what you need to do, is hire people to do things that will provide you with more capacity to do things that will move the needle faster. So I firmly believe that your first hire, whether it's an employee or an independent contractor, should be some form of assistant. And this assistant they're going to assist you in every capacity possible. And I always tell people, we're not groomed for this position. Growing up, going through school, most likely we were not groomed for our position as a CEO or as a business owner. So we're figuring things out as we go along. Cassie, my assistant from the beginning, I basically told her, I don't know. I don't know the answers. We're going to figure this out together. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to need you for, but, here's some things that I think I'll need you for. Luckily, she was along for the ride. And basically, you need some form of assistant to do the repetitive things that you do. So whether it's sending certain emails, sending certain reminders, those little repetitive tasks that, you can do in an instant, but doing those things just takes away time from other more important things. Even if you pay somebody 5 to 10 hours a week, that can free up so much more time for you to do other things. So I think your first hire should be some form of an assistant, an admin person, just doing things on the back, even just these little things that will help you free up more time to do what you do best. I will never forget when I first hired Cassie. I was just like, man, I need you to do this. And the type of person that you need too is going to be a very specific person. If you're an online business owner, which I think you are, you need somebody that's going to be able to figure things out. You need somebody that you can tell them. And I remember telling Cassie these things like, hey, I need to figure out how to do this. Can you please help me? We need to figure this out. And she would do it. She would do it. I just remember all these little projects. I'd be like, hey, let's figure this out. How can we do this? How do we do that? And she would just figure it out. You need those people that don't need somebody breathing down their neck, telling them, hey, this is how you do this. You want to do this, do this, do this, do this. What I like to do with my employees is say, hey, this is the end goal. This is the final product that I want. Get it done. And what I mean by that is I don't care how they get it done. They may have one process and, another team member may have another process of getting to that end result. But as long as we get that end result, that's all that matters. And quite frankly, if it is somebody who's like, hey, it has to be done this way, that's a micromanager. And I'm not a fan of those. If you're in the online world, you really can't be a micromanager, especially if your team is remote. And I'll tell you, you guys know that I took over this other local business, and having an in-person team is a lot different than a remote team. Quite frankly, I love my online team, my remote team, more than my in-person team. Don't tell them that. But it's just honestly, it's a lot of babysitting in person. I still love it. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the poker club, but it is a lot of babysitting. It's a lot of telling people like, hey, you have to do this, you have to do that, like do this, do this, do this. But in the online world, I can just tell them, hey, I want this done, and it just gets done. So keep that in mind as you're looking for a hire. You want it to be somebody that will just take the initiative. They will take it upon themselves to figure it out. They'll be the ones to tell you, hey, I think we should do this. Hey, I think this will be better. And that's one thing I feel like you should encourage your team to do, is encourage them to come to you with advice, with a better, more efficient process. Because you as the CEO, hopefully, eventually you're not in the daily, day-to-day, like doing these little processes, doing these little systems. That's what your team is there for. They're there to support you to do those little things. So, after a while, you're not even in it anymore. So you don't know, hey, is this not efficient anymore? Do you have a better way? And I constantly tell my team that, hey, I know you're the ones doing this, so don't let me tell you how to do your job. You are the best person to figure this out and tell me the most efficient way to get it done. And quite frankly, I don't care how you get it done, as long as it's getting done and you're being efficient and you're providing value to the team. That's all I care about. So, piece of advice is to hire people that don't need to be micromanaged. Your first hire should be some form of assistant to just support you and do these little things that, quite frankly, even though it takes you 2 seconds to do, it's taking a lot more than 2 seconds to get it done, because you have to turn your brain to this mode and then turn it back to this other mode. So trust me, those little things that take you 5 seconds, hire that out as soon as possible. And I know 100%. It is scary as hell hiring. It is so scary. It's like, gosh, I have to commit this payment to somebody else. And eventually it's like, I'm providing a livelihood to these other people. And so now the pressure's on. But trust me, once you make those hires, you as a person, as a business owner, you have so much more capacity to take on other things and to actually grow the business more. Instead of just doing those little things, you can work on growing the business. So don't be afraid. I know it's scary. 100%, I understand it. But you have to know that it's scary, but know that it's going to be okay and still do it anyway. So hire as soon as possible. As soon as you know, okay, these are repetitive tasks that somebody else can do, hire. Just pay somebody 5-10 hours a week. That's all you have to start with. All right. I want to hear from you guys on Instagram. I want to hear, tell me about your first hires. Tell me, was this helpful? Hey, Andrea, you know what? Stick to your day job and just give us the legal stuff. I don't want to hear this business stuff anymore. Tell me. Like I always say, I'm here to benefit you guys. So let me know if you want more of this business advice. If you just want to hear the legal stuff, let me know. I'm here for it. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. Shout me out on Instagram. Give me some feedback. I would love to hear from you guys. I hope you guys are having a wonderful summer, and I'll see you guys next week. If you found this information helpful, I would be so grateful if you could share it with a fellow business owner. And it doesn't cost anything to rate, review, or subscribe to the show. Your support helps me reach more listeners, which allows me to support more business owners in their entrepreneurial journey. I'll see you next episode.